Mike Metzger, Shane Tossel. This is Real Talk, because not everything has to be about business.
There you are.
Here I am. Happy New Year, my friend.
Happy New Year. How are you?
I'm
Sounds
good.
like you're nursing a cold.
No, why is that?
I just sound a little nasally, that's all.
Really? You should have saw the massage last night when I was laying face down, and she asked me if I needed a tissue 6 times, and I politely declined.
That's right. You just let it hit the floor. That is the worst, man. It is the worst when you try to enjoy a massage and you're face down and this not even when you're not sick. It just all comes to a head and it's just ridiculous. It's not fun.
Well, you're opening the new show Real Talk pretty well right now.
That's right. Right on. Figure we get right out of the
So that was the first time I saw that intro.
Yeah.
Hey, Clinton. Happy New Year.
Oh, Mr. Klingemeyer. There we go. Happy New Year.
So anyway, yeah, we changed the format. Want to be a little bit more conversational. I think people don't want to be. I think they've heard us enough for 10 years giving business advice and business tips, which we still will.
Right.
And we will talk business, but we'll talk anything martial arts. But you brought up a great point earlier today that I think is going to take us into a discussion, which we'll get into in a second. But can you believe, and I say it every time, can you believe it's 2026?
I know.
Can you believe it's another year?
Can you believe it's been 6 years almost since COVID? Like when you think
No.
about it, like, I mean, it's funny how time sometimes feels like it just flies by, and then other times just feels like it just stands still. But it has been feeling like it's been moving fast lately. My dad always told me that. He's like, just wait till you get older. You're going to feel like time just doesn't wait, and it just goes faster. It just goes
You know
faster.
what's funny is Di's watching this show. She was watching this show last night. I think it's Making the Band. Have you seen this show?
Mhm.
On Netflix? I think that's what it's called. But she was watching the show where these kids get in groups and this, that, and the other. One of the judges is the kid from One Direction who passed away last year, Liam,
Yeah.
that guy.
Yeah.
And she's like, that's the kid. That's Liam from One Direction. He looks like he's in his 30s. She goes, I thought those were younger kids. I said, sweetheart. I said, that band came out 15 years ago. She goes, wait a minute. What? I said, 15 years ago, One Direction came out. She goes, I would have said they just came out when we moved into this house within the last 5 years.
Unbelievable.
I said, that's how fast time is going.
Well, that was a better answer than said, babe, do you know how old you are? So that was probably a better answer.
That's right.
Oh, funny, man.
It's crazy. But my point is I think most people, if they allow it to get into their heads, as far as martial arts and our industry and our business goes, or any business owner for that matter, when New Year starts, you either are like really excited and motivated about the direction and the trajectory that you're on, or just really frustrated that you feel like you're in the same spot you were 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And it's like, here we are again, like whatever it is that I think is going to happen for my business hasn't happened yet. I'm still hoping, I'm still thinking, I'm still trying to will positive thinking as my plan to change my business and the course of where I'm going. And I think when the new year hits, it's a reality check. And it could be very, very frustrating for a lot of, put it this way. I mean, honestly, real talk. I know it's very frustrating for most people. I also know there's a percentage of those people that won't allow it to get into their minds, and they'll justify it somehow and how this year is going to be different, but it's not going to be different. It's not going to be different unless we do something different. Now, with that, you told me something this morning that I never even knew. I never knew. And that is this, everybody. So, first of all, Brian, are we over 140,000 people watching yet? Because I want to make sure we're at least over 100,000 live right now before I go over this.
Almost there. Once you stop talking, then we'll jump right over.
Then it'll go up?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. For 15 years at least, and I say 15, but we just talked about time. It could be 25 years. I don't know.
I know. We just had this conversation the other day. Now I'm going to show my cards, but I became a consultant at 40. I'm going to be 52 in 2 months, dude. 52. That's 12 years. And I was a client for 3 years prior. So yeah, 15 years. It's been 15, almost 16 years.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know how many clients we lost since you've come on board?
Half as many as when you consulted.
That's right. That's exactly right. Good job. Happy New Year.
That's right. I retired all mine. They're all retired. They're living on a beach. They're doing great.
Right. Yep. They've moved on. No, what I was going to say is in Orlando, with all the schools that we have and the team that we have, and we have the manpower and we have the ability to really dive into stats and data, and we track that very closely. And I have told clients, and I'll tell everybody watching, you and Mr. Klingenmeyer, I'll tell you two guys right now, that one of the stats that you want to track is when you enroll a student, how long does the average student last in a 12-month snapshot? Like, how many students last a year or more or a year or less? That's what we want to know. Right. So if you enroll 100 people and they've been with you for 25 years, we would just check the box that they lasted 12 months. I don't care about after 12 months. But I also want to know who doesn't last 12 months, right? So the question is how long does your average student that you enroll last in a 12-month snapshot? And we dove into the data. And the reason this came about is I heard from a massive organization that they had told me once that their average student that they sign up for 12 months lasted 6 months average. So that means some last 12, some last 2, some last 3, some last 5, but the average was 6. Right. And I remember I thought
it was impossible.
I couldn't believe that. I was like, are you kidding me? Like 6 months, the average student you enroll on a 12-month term or whatever, month to month, whatever, lasts 6 months, Right. Out of 12, remember, please guys, pay attention. We're not taking the average of students that lasted 20 years, 18 years. Just if you lasted 12 or less, how long does the average student last? 12 or more, 12 or less. And I couldn't believe it. So we went back. I had all my schools, 10 schools at the time, individually track this stat. And it came back to where our average student lasted 9 months. And I started telling everybody, because when you know that, that will dictate how much of a discount you may want to give if somebody pays in full, right? Because a lot of times people won't take a paid in full or give a discount because they feel like they're losing too much money. I give 20%, 25%. Well, if you know people that make a monthly payment on average, statistically, only make 9 out of 12 payments. Statistically, they're only making 75% of the payments. So why don't you give 25% off if they pay in full? But you don't want to do that until you find out, well, before I do that, how long does the average paid in full student last in a 12-month snapshot? And it was like 10 and a half months that the average paid in full student lasted. So if we get a student to pay in full, we know statistically they stay longer, which makes logical sense. But we also know we make more revenue by giving that 25% off than giving no discount and doing a monthly. It's a fact, it's data, it's not debatable. Now, here's where I'm going. You told me something this morning, and I did not realize what you told me. I never knew this, but share what you shared with me this morning.
Well, I mean, it's the one thing that I haven't done of all the things that you've told me. So
Sure, but it's also because you know how impeccable we keep stats, and you trust the system,
right.
you trust the process.
So
But
yeah, so for years, right? You've talked about this in a 12-month snapshot that the average person in your organization stays for 9 months, and so I've always just trusted the data and gone through the information. Okay, that's what it is, and so I was really on a quest, I guess, from a stat because I we keep a lot of other. I mean, we keep a lot of other stats, but it's just this is one that we have not done, and I was just genuinely curious. Like part of it for me was looking to see like, well, what's my 90-day? Never lose a customer for life is one of those books, right? Like you got to take care of your customers the first 100 days, otherwise you're going to lose them, so on and so forth. Well, I just wanted to get a good feel for how have we been doing, how's the team been doing, and so we laid all this out, and so I just right now, as of right now, went through from 2024 to 2025, and so the deal is that what happened was the start was going to start as a cohort thing, right? So I went back to January and said, okay, here's all the enrollments we had of January of 24. Now let's follow them, right? So in January they start up at 100% retention, and did they stay on for February? Did they stay on for someone dropped in March or April, whatever it was? Well, first to my surprise, everybody. Then we went to February. Who enrolled in February? And what was the retention for we have the whole year from February to February, right? But I was amazed as to the fact that we were not losing people in the first 4 months, generally speaking. And so I'm like, well, why would I go and do this big onboarding? Like, make sure our onboarding is great for the first 90 days, because now it becomes irrelevant because we're not losing people in the first 90 or 100 days, right? And in doing that, I went back and said, okay, let me go back and see now that I have the data in a 12-month snapshot. And so this person stayed this month, this one, this one, this. Boom. And what's the average? 9.1 months. I mean, it was like dead on. And it's one of those things that you believe the data, but when you see the data for yourself and your own organization, you're like, damn, that's like right on. And it's just it was just this aha moment. So now, of course, I'm going to go back to 23 to harvest that same data and to see what it says for 23. I believe that data will be very similar to what it was for 24. But it's just because we can do so much with the data that we have, and whether people like to believe this or not, it's not personal. It's just it is, but it isn't. Like if you don't like the data, then we got to fix something, right? Now you had mentioned to me when you interrupted my sauna this morning that I should also go back and you brought up the point. You said this earlier. You asked me if I did that with my paid in fulls, and I'm in the process of doing that right now to find out how long our average paid in full stays as well. So it's just very eye opening and also can lead you in the right direction, because why would you spend all this time working on an onboarding system if your average person fell off after month 5? You don't need to do anything on and on. Not that you can't work on it and make it nice and do all the things, but if you're not struggling with that, look at where the problem is. Well, maybe if in this example, if people are falling off at month 5, what do I need to be doing in month 4 to make sure that these people are staying on and they're going to continue with us? And then it becomes a game. Now, what can our numbers do for this next year? Can we keep them on an extra month or 2 months longer? And how will it be affected, right? And can we get that 9.1 to 9.6 or 10 people or 10, right? 10 out of 12 months. And that's where it gets to be, I think it gets to be fun because it's measurable. And you talk to people about goal setting. and we don't have measurable goals. It's like, I'm a big football guy, but NFL specifically, not college, but any game or any sport. I mean, if you don't keep score, it's just not entertaining and it's not fun. I mean, I don't think it is. Some people can go play golf and not keep score. It's okay, but it's just you don't know where you're at. Are you getting better? Are you getting worse? And so that's why I think it's important to keep score. And this was just one of those metrics, but was fun to do. Just literally went back. So everyone understands this. Went back to last January of 24. Excuse me. These are the enrollments, and then followed them. How long did they stay? This person, this person, this person. You go, oh my God, that's painstaking. That's gruel. Yeah, it can be, but it will also share with you the data, or you don't have to do it and just trust the data that people will stay on average in a 12-month snapshot for 9 months. So yeah, it was great, man. It was really cool to go through and see that.
That it's a good analogy on the keeping score. We have to be careful that in this industry, a lot of people keep score either A, by just how much dollars they've done, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the majority of people in our industry keep score by the amount of students that they have. And they look at that as a score to try to beat or win or do better at, and they equate that with success. And here's the problem. If you've been running your school for 10 years, 5 years, 20 years, 40 years, doesn't matter. And let's just say you have 200 students. Some of you don't have 200. Some of you have more. Some of you have less. But if that's the way you keep score, or dollars and cents, and a new year starts, and you're at the same active count, and next year, pretty much the same active count, or your active count goes up, and then you're down, and it's up, and then it's down, and this can cause such burnout and frustration, such burnout. But if you keep stats like you were talking about, and you can recognize
right
where you have wins, where you're really improving, and where your weaknesses are, so you can improve on those weaknesses, but see how much you improved in these other areas. For example, if I have 200 students and I've been in business for 10 years and I've been at 200, 200, 200, 200, 200, but my revenue has doubled, man, I'm not burning out. Right. But I am focusing, like, I'm doing great on a student value, but I got to figure out how can I get more students? Well, then I look at, I'm at 200, 200, 200, 200. My revenue has not changed. But I realized that I've been enrolling the same amount, or I've been enrolling less people, but my retention is a lot better. And I'm like, man, all right, we've done great here on retention. So if I can just get back to where I was enrolling before, I'm going to get to 250 students.
Right.
So data just gives you laser beam focus on the areas that your business is strong in and weak in. But it also psychologically will create less burnout, because most of us can find wins in the data. We can find little wins. Something we did better this year than we did last year, even if our student count and our revenue is the same. But we can find out, where did we do anything better, right? As opposed to, what do we typically do as entrepreneurs? We do it with ourselves, if we're honest with ourselves, and we do it with our staff. And that is, find all of the problems, find all the weaknesses, no wins, right? So the issue then becomes, are you disciplined enough, organized enough to keep the data? And you always say, I hate keeping stats, but I love diving in and going over the stats. And diving into the numbers, right?
Yeah.
So, but you're not. It's not going to change. I mean, in business for the rest of mankind, it won't change. You're not going to go to a football game where they can't tell you how many sacks this dude has, how many minutes he's played, that tells us how strong of a player he is, or any sport or any company or any business. Just go on Yahoo Finance or wherever you want to go, type in a stock ticker, pull up the stats, and it's gonna show you.
Mr. Yahoo. He's still on Yahoo. That's still
Is there a Yahoo?
I don't know. I think maybe there was.
Go on Prodigy.
I think didn't Yahoo just come out 2 years ago? Speaking of
Go to
time.
the AOL and look at the top news.
Ding 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 ding. Holy man.
My point is if this is, look, it's 2026. Psychologically, it's just another month, but it's also a time to reflect and say, okay, I know I could do better. And what do I got to do to be better?
I don't want to be the pessimist here in this optimistic conversation that you're having, but I have seen it where people have done better and they're legitimately their attrition's like at 2.8% or 3%. And that also can be a little bit nerve-wracking, right? Because I say, for lack of a better expression, but if things are built on a house of cards and all of a sudden that retention, or in this case, the attrition goes from 2.8 to 4.8, that's a massive difference and will destroy a business over 12 months, right? And so you need to recognize, like, oh my God, we're freaking killing it on attrition or on retention, if you want to use the inverse of that. And that's great. And keep doing that. I mean, I told you this one time, years ago, I had a school that was high twos. I said, guys, don't worry about the attrition. You guys have been doing great. And I didn't listen to the words that I spoke to the team. Don't worry about attrition. What I didn't say was, do the same things you've been doing to keep the students. And then what happened is we went from 2.8 to 4.8 or whatever it was. There was a 2. And people don't, I won't bore anybody with the numbers, but man, people just don't realize 1 or 2% in a school of 200 or 300 students is massive amounts of revenue gone, right? Or it's massive amounts of future revenue done right. If you can go from, I'm dealing with a school right now that came on board, and there's the numbers are muddled because of their CRM and this, that, and everything else. But speculation is they're about an 8% attrition rate. I mean, what we can do for that school, if we just get from 8 to 6, which, by the way, 6 is still not great. It's 6 figures a year difference. It's incredible, right? This is why, I love the numbers, but let me steer the conversation maybe a different direction. Like, what if you got the people that, I don't know that everybody wants to have a mega school. I don't know that everybody wants to have multiple schools. They've got themselves a job, not a career necessarily, right, or a business, and they're happy with 200 students, but there's still this feeling of the grind, right? Like, and this comes back to, I think, and you've said it. Well, what's the why? Like, why are we doing what we're doing? Because I think if let me play devil's advocate with you for a second. Hey, listen, I'm okay. I have 200 students. I have a great work-life balance. I maxed out my IRA, and and things are great, man. I don't want to work that hard. I'm going to be 52 years old. I don't want to work that hard. I'm good. What do you say to somebody like that?
It's okay. It's not wrong, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this is my new motto. I've been talking to my own daughter about this, and in the last week, literally. Don't give me the best case scenario. Give me the worst case scenario and tell me how you're getting through that. So if somebody's like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Okay, what are you going to do if things take a big downturn again? Something like a COVID or just the economy or something really hurts your business. Are you okay then? Number one. Number two, that's today. Tell me about tomorrow. So when you're 62, when you're 72, are you still going to be on the mats, and are you still going to be able to live this good enough lifestyle that you've become accustomed to living. And I say, if you're going to do something, why not do it to the fullest, right? Because if you live in good enough, you only can go down. Mm-hmm. So when people say, when is enough enough? What's your number? How much do you want to make? How much do you want to be worth? What do you want to have saved? When people say more, right, it's because we're always just trying to push past the ceiling, because once you get to a ceiling, then the only place to go is down. And so, listen, don't take my word for it. Look at the data. You guys watching right now, go on Google. We'll move up from Yahoo.
There we go.
And just type in, how much does the average retiree have in savings? The average person. What is that number? And then ask yourself, would you be able to live for another 20, 25 years? And by the way, as we know, AI and advances, people are going to start living longer. What if you live another 30, 35 years? That's what I want to try to prepare people for, right? So today it's okay. Today it's okay. And you may die on the mats potentially. But why be okay when you could be better? That's my question. Are you looking?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, what is it?
I was falling asleep. My eyes were closed. No. The average American retiree, ages 65 to 74, has around $609,230 in a retirement savings, but the median is much lower at about $200,000, showing that high earners skew the average. Many retirees have significantly less, with some sources indicating a median closer to $133,000 for 401ks at retirement.
Now watch this. Let's take the highest number there, the 609,000. And I don't know if people understand this, but when you retire, if you want to be able to live without touching that principal, it's called the 4% rule, that you can withdraw every year, take 4% every year and not have danger of losing money. Can you live on $24,360 a year? And then people will say, well, I'm going to have Social Security. I'm going to have this. Okay. But also I know that a lot of business owners and a lot of martial arts school owners and business owners in general, they don't take a high salary and pay big into Social Security because they want to save on their taxes and they do this. So the question is, whatever lifestyle you're living, can you maintain that when it comes time to retire? And then, by the way, some people may say, well, I'll sell my school and I'll do this. Well, let me tell you about selling your school. There are some people, there's always somebody, right?
There is.
But why would I want to buy a school? Now, unless I'm working in the school. So if I'm an absentee owner and I have a staff or someone that's running the school and they've been running it for 10 years and our systems, we built it up to where it's crushing it, they should pay a lot more money for that school, because as soon as we sign a paper in my office here, the customers see no difference. They've been doing it for 10, there's a track record. But if I want to sell my school to someone from the outside, why would I want to spend $200,000, $250,000 on a school when I know that as soon as I move in and you move out, it's possible that people will quit. They don't like my style. They don't like my teaching. Forget if they're on contracts, that means nothing, right? And when I can just move across the street for, let's say, $50,000 between mats and mirrors and build out, getting TI money from a landlord, knowing how to negotiate a deal, free month, $50,000. And if I want, I could put $100,000 into marketing and build up my own students and have as many students as you have across the street within the first year. I mean, that's a hypothetical, right? So your exit strategy can't be, I'll sell my school for $500,000. That can't be your play.
Well, it goes back to your thing that you said before. There's two pieces that I was thinking about as you were saying that. Number one, worst case scenario. Great, you're making a great living being a chief instructor or an owner operator, and you're in your school. What happens if there's a life event of a significant other, spouse, whatever? that takes you out of that school, and you don't have potentially a team, or maybe you have a team that can run classes but they don't understand or they can't generate revenue, that school is going to decline very fast, right? I mean, you, by the way, you were in this position years ago, right? I mean, you were out of pocket for 12 months, right? Because you could, because you had everything in play. But people don't, and by the way, it's never going to happen to me. It's like people that don't get health insurance because it's too expensive. And I understand all that, but you're one accident away from something being life altering. And we hope that and pray that that never happens, right? But it certainly is a possibility. So going back to your planning for worst case scenario, well, what about planning for worst case scenario? You've heard talks about, well, what if Social Security's not there? Like, then what are you going to do? Then you're living on, there's all these things to really think about. And so I think as martial artists, I think we're all pretty competitive, right? And I, maybe not everybody did competitive martial arts, but man, I got to think that everyone's competitive and wants to get more done and do more. And whether that's more students, more gross revenue, more locations, more impact on the community, like whatever that is, we were just going through, goal setting here at the house. And I think one of the hardest things for people to really understand, which is the key in hitting and pulling you to your goal, is what's your why. And I don't know. For me personally, this is where I always tell people, man, this just sounds so shallow, because I paint a picture of my life and the material things in my life and what that looks like and how much those things are going to cost. Well, does that maybe include some philanthropic things and some other? Of course. But I can't just put a number out there and go, well, and I think some people just do this. It's a pie in the sky number with really no meaning behind it. And you and I have had conversations about the lifestyle and where you need to be. And once you hit X dollars, as an example, there's not that big of a difference between when you're here and where you're here. There is when you're in a different spot, right? But you got to know what is your why. And if you don't know what your why is, then maybe you use, AI, whether it's Chat or Grok or somebody, as a personal life coach to help you understand and discover what your why is. Because what my why is going to be different than what yours is. Everybody's motivated by different things. And if you don't have that why in place, man, it is so hard because there's nothing pulling you. And now
Right.
it's something that you got to just, you're like, oh, you're just pushed. And then sometimes we don't react until there's enough pain, because like, well, if I don't do something, I'm not going to be able to pay that bill, or I'm not going to be able to do this. And then it's like, okay, then we get off our rear end and we go do it, because we always know that we do more to avoid pain than to gain pleasure. But that's the search, that's the quest. And then once you have the why, by the way, it's a goal. It can change, right? Just like people that set in New Year's resolutions, whether it's gaining weight or losing weight, whatever your goal is, doesn't mean like I hit it, I'm done. That's it. That's where I'm going to be. You might get to that goal weight and be like, man, that'd be nice to lose another 10 pounds. I'm going to do another 10 pounds. You can always change your goals, but you got to have, I just think, maybe not everybody, but I think you got to have something in play that gets you excited and gets you motivated. Because as you and I both know, we talked about time earlier, it just doesn't stop for anybody. And what does life look like in the next 10 years? Like for me, right? When I'm 62 in 10 years, what does life look like? And I've shared this with you before. Like, my dad passed when he was 78. And I've been, in past years, I've been with my head in my hands, sitting on the couch, like, well, what have I accomplished? Because I always feel like I could have done so much more. I could have been so much more. And I think there's a book. It's called The Gap and the Gain, right? A lot of us tend to focus on the gap versus how far have we come. And I'm one of those people that tends to focus on like, well, about this and that. Like, I feel like that could be my blueprint. Like, well, what if I'm 78 and past? Well, what does that mean for me? It means I have 26 years of life to live right now. The reality is I could walk outside and get hit by a car and die, right? You just don't know. I also could live and we could go through this AI revolution. I could live till I'm 98. I don't know what the answer. Nobody knows. That's the best part about life. But man, we just got to figure out a way to how can we have like this last year. I mean, I'll say this: the last 5 years, it's been very intentional about really. It's going to sound maybe weird to some people, but trying to have fun in the business, right? Because I've been a consultant now for whatever it's going on 12 years. To your point, you look for as a consultant, you're looking for the things that need to be fixed. That's what you do. That's your job, right? That's the job, is to help people see things maybe they can't see. But the problem is when that translates into my own business, it can look and feel like, man, we never do anything right. And that was my father to a T with the 5 grocery stores. I'd ask him to come in and look at something. He'd point out everything that was wrong, and he would give me nothing that was right. And so I understand how, like, you say the grind about doing the same thing every year, and then listening to the same thing every year. You're like, oh my God, I just don't want to do it anymore. So there's just, I mean, we have to figure out what it is for us and how we want to get to that next level. And I focused really hard these last, I'll say 5 years, right? And it was a work in progress, but I feel like we're there. I just want to have fun. I want to have fun with the people that are on the team and enjoy it, because they want to have fun. They want to have a great time. And that's one I took out of your playbook, man. I mean, and as much as people may think like, you're horsing around and you guys are just having a good time, but the work gets done, and the work's going to get done regardless. But are you going to enjoy it, or is it just going to be something like a task and just like, I got to get it done? And it's just, life is way more fun when you focus. It was a mind shift for me, for sure, to really focus on being focused on having a great time with the team. And that's what we've morphed to. And it's been great, man. I mean, our team, we roast each other. Everybody has a blast. We all have a good time. But it's a much, much more enjoyable environment and so much more fun for everybody. And that was leading from the top down, because it was me a lot of times that was bringing it. I won't say negative energy, but the constant, like, here, different than when you teach. How many of us teach and we know the whole praise, correct, praise theory? We do that with our students, right? But we don't do it with our own team, or maybe even with our own family members. We don't find the good and then make a positive, criticism or correction, and then praise on the backside. It's always just correct. And that just gets old. My grandfather, I'll never forget, this is about meetings. He came to my meeting back in the day. He'd come in and he'd come to my meetings, and he'd sit in, and he would he'd tell everybody, I trained him. He didn't do martial arts a day in his life. He was a fire chief in our town or whatever, but great guy. And this is where I think I get me calling Xander son from. He'd say, son, he goes, it is my grandfather. He goes, son, it was a great meeting, but man, it was long. He goes, the mind can only tolerate what the ass can handle, he would say. So, making shorter meetings, having a better time, I think, is really the moral of the story there.
I remember you telling me that. But he would always praise you too.
He would. Yep. He absolutely would. I swear to God, we were right next to Kohl's department store. I swear he would buy stuff, bring it home, and then just to return it, just so he could come by the martial arts school and say and stop in again. He was there 3 times a week, man. It was like constant. I said, Gramps, why don't you just get a gift card? It's a lot easier because you're back and forth between the store here.
Listen, I mean, people that are comfortable, they're just not thinking about the one little thing that can make them uncomfortable, And if you build up enough cushion and systems and build up the business, you don't have to worry about being uncomfortable as much. I was just listening to a podcast with Mark Cuban, and he's like your average guy millionaire. He's like, this is unbelievable. I'm like the luckiest guy on the planet because of things that he can do, things he doesn't have to worry about, things people the world, how he can help the world. Like he's doing this costplusdrugs.com, you know? I mean, he's doing things that can make a big difference. But he drives a Kia. He drives a Kia. He goes, but I have a jet, you know? And he goes, because, listen, everybody, he says, because to me, it's not about all that fluff. It's about my time. And there's nothing more valuable than time. And I just like to have more control of my time. So a car is a car for him. Whether he has a Lamborghini or a Kia, it's going to take the same amount of time. But he has a jet because when he wants to go somewhere, he just can go. He could just get on the jet and get there, right? It's not about the jet. It's about his time. And he loves having that flexibility and own his time. And so that's his why, right? But he appreciates it so much. You know, he said when he sold the one company and he was going into another company, he goes, he was broke, completely broke. There you go, Ernie. Now you just need the jet. Ernie has a Kia.
That's right.
Drives the same car as Mark Cuban. But
So
my
if I had a
point is,
Lamborghini, if I had a Lamborghini at prop plant, I got that backwards, I think.
yeah,
Okay.
that's different. But he said literally he was broke. He goes, I went to the ATM, checked my balance. He goes, I had zero in my bank, zero. He said, and it's a scary, horrible feeling, you know. But my point is what he did is he bet on himself. Like he invested it all into his company, you know.
Yep.
He said when he owned the Dallas Mavericks, he owned for like 25 years. He goes, I lost money 23 out of the 25 years with the Mavs. He paid millions in fines for making fun of referees or talking about the refs, right? But he goes, I loved it. He goes, and I didn't care. And I loved that I could do it, right? Because a $500,000 fine here or that didn't bother him, right? But he loved basketball. He would sit in the stands. I remember we went to an Orlando Magic game and he was sitting there and Silverman went up to him and shook hands with him and said hello.
Oh, is that right?
I mean, he's just he appears to be a very down to earth billionaire, right? But my point is life better when you have your own time? And for some people that are okay or that are working in their martial arts school, do you get to have dinner with your family every day? Do you get to make it to your kids' Little League game every practice, every game, dance recitals, whatever it is? I mean, do you own your time or does the business own your time? Right? So you got to really be honest and have the option. If you want to be there for 12 hours a day, great. But if you don't, great. Shouldn't make a difference. Anyway, Good talk. I know you have a consulting client coming up.
I do. They're going to be rough too. Just teasing.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
So anyway, but listen,
I'm excited to see what I'm going to say.
right? Let's see. So am I. Let's do great things in 2026, everybody. We're going to change up the format a little bit here. Today was just out of the gates, and we hope you join in. And if there's anything, participate and talk about anything you want to talk about. Ask about anything you want to ask about. We're not going to have topics necessarily, and if we ever have guests, we may pre-record some of these to make it easier and more accommodating, but interesting, you know.
Yeah,
So
for
anyway.
sure. For sure.
But all right, Tass, we'll touch
All right,
base.
Appreciate it. All right, everyone. Happy New Year. It's your time to shine.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.